folks, today we're going to have a discussion about the best and worst all-time performances on American Idol. I'm really just trying to pass the time while I wait for X Factor to start this week. So these are my 10 favorites of all time, and feel free to put yours down in the comments section. Well, of course down in the comments section, where else are you going to put them? Anyway, my number 10 is Season 5's Chris Daughtry with I Walk the Line. I loved Chris's version of this song, and I know of a lot of ladies that fell in love with Chris Daughtry after this performance because they thought it was so romantic that he would sing a song for his wife. I mean, who else is he going to sing it for? His mistress? On the flip side, you had some very, very jealous women that declared Chris's wife not good enough for him. I saw more than a few of those online. Don't you just love that? When somebody has a crush on a celebrity and then they get upset to find out that that celebrity is married? Like he was going to sleep with you anyway. I would think that if I really had a crush on a celebrity, I'd want them to be happy, not lonely and waiting for me. But that jealousy does seem to be more common on American Idol than you might think. To date, Chris Allen has been the only married winner, and a lot of people think that being married is what cost Chris Daughtry the title in Season 5. I think it was a combination of that and that silly guy liner that he started wearing. Now, some guys can get away with wearing guy liner, but Chris Daughtry is not one of them. He looks more like a bald raccoon than a good-looking man with a guy liner. Anyway, number 9 is another one from Season 5. It's Ace Young, Butterflies. I must admit, I was in love with Ace Young for a brief period in Season 5, and I loved this performance. Paula Abdul thought it was better than the original, and I don't know about all that. I mean, I love Michael Jackson, but I never was crazy about this song by him, but I loved it by Ace, and I still listen to it sometimes. I hear Ace is trying to be a Chippendales these days, though. That should be interesting. It wouldn't be the first time he took his clothes off for money either. I hear that he got naked with Diana DeGarmo on Broadway. I hate that I had to miss that. I tried to find pictures of it online, but I don't know. I reckon they don't allow cameras in those places. Either that or it wasn't impressive enough to warrant a picture. Anyway, number 8 is Dee Bonami, Play with Fire. Now, early on in Season 9, I naturally assumed that Dee Bonami was going to be nothing more than an emotionally unstable carbon copy of Season 7's Brooke White, and she pretty much was for a little while, and then she finally broke out of her shell with this performance. I thought it was fantastic. You know, even though she did flub a few words at one point, that didn't even matter. She had the right attitude, and she made me love this song, which I don't recall ever hearing before she sang it, so I thought it was great. At this point, I thought she really stood a good chance of winning because she had had a couple of good weeks in a row, but unfortunately for her, she came out the next week and tried to recreate the magic, you know, with the angry faces and stuff, and it just felt contrived, so she fizzled out pretty quickly. Number 7, the second Fire song and the second Johnny Cash song on the list. Y'all are going to start thinking I'm a Johnny Cash fan. Although I do like him, but I don't know if I would exactly consider myself a fan. Anyway, number 7 is Adam Lambert's Ring of Fire. Now, for some reason, a lot of people thought that this was Adam's worst performance, and for the life of me, I cannot understand why. I loved it. This is the Adam that I really could have gotten behind on the show, and for all the talk of him being fearless, I felt like he kind of played it safe after this performance, but I really enjoyed it. Randy Travis hated it, though. He was the mentor that week, and he said, "I don't see guys wearing nail polish that often, so it kind of caught me off guard." To me, that sounded like code speak for, "I don't feel comfortable around homosexuals." And I guess you really don't see a lot of gays at the Grand Ole Opry. Well, besides Kenny Chesney, of course. Number 6 is Fantasia, I Believe. Now, this is the only Coronation song to make my top 10. I know a lot of people like to hate on the Coronation songs, but honestly, I really liked all the ones by the female winners. Not so much by the guys, but I thought this one by Fantasia was fantastic. She definitely proved that she deserved to win with this performance. If she had lost to Diana DeGarmo the next night, my head would have exploded. And it almost did explode from that long, overdrawn finale that seemed to run 12 hours over. But they kind of spoiled it early on when they had Diana DeGarmo sing and save Fantasia for the end of the show, so there were no surprises there. Did you know, though, that Simon, Paula, and Randy have all declared Fantasia their all-time favorite winner? And Simon has said that her Summertime performance was his favorite Idol performance ever. I don't know, I like that one, but I think that one was just a little bit overrated. I also think that Simon Cowell's taste is a little bit old-fashioned. Number 5 is Kelly Clarkson from Season 1 with Natural Woman. Now, honestly, how many ladies do you know out there that can dress like a man and sing about feeling like a natural woman and make you believe it? Well, I sure believed it from Kelly Clarkson, even though I despise this song. I love hearing her sing it. And when she hit that high note, I mean, who else in the world can sing like that? Well, I know Mariah Carey used to could. I don't know if she still can or not. She doesn't really even sing much anymore, does she, Mariah Carey? I mean, she just does like vocal acrobats and makes noises while other people sings for the most part. But anyway, yeah, Kelly was at the top of her game, and nobody denies now that she deserved to win, but that hasn't always been the case. I seem to recall more than a few people crying foul because Tamara Gray had been robbed. I know most of you now are saying, who? Tamara, who? I know it seems crazy now to think of it, but it really wasn't until Kelly Clarkson's second album that people finally started to shut up about it and accept that she was the winner. Anyway, number 4 is Clay Aiken's Solitaire, and I admit, I hopped on the Clay Aiken bandwagon in season 2. I wasn't exactly a Claymate. Those people are crazy. I was mildly disappointed, though, when he didn't win. I loved this performance. It's another one of those songs that I really wasn't familiar with until I heard it on the show, but Clay made me a fan. Didn't he get caught playing solitaire at home in front of his webcam back a few years ago? I remember all the Claymates saying that it really wasn't him, that it was a drag queen named Cody Collins, who I actually saw at a bar once do her Clay impersonation. Actually, she started out as Reba McEntire singing Fancy, and then halfway through the song it cut off and the American Idol theme started playing, and she ran over in the corner and took her wig off and changed her wig and wiped her makeup off, turned around, ripped her dress off, and there was a suit underneath, and she broke into a Bridge Over Troubled Water. Looked just like Clay Aiken. I thought it was hilarious. One of the funniest drag performances I've ever seen in my life. But anyway, I saw her a couple of years later, and I asked her about it, and she swears that I don't recall if she ever said that it wasn't her, but she said she would never do something like that to hurt somebody. So I'm thinking maybe she was dressing up as Clay just to get laid and letting people think she was Clay. But I don't know, it may have been Clay. But anyway, all the Claymates would defend Clay to the death over the gay rumors. Even after he artificially impregnated a 50-year-old woman named James, many of them were still shocked and devastated when he came out. So go figure. Number 3 is Carrie Underwood with Alone. Now, when I first saw Carrie in this episode, I was a little bit confused. I said in my best Whoopi Goldberg voice, "Damn, baby, what you do to your hair?" That's one of my all-time favorite lines from a movie ever, from Ghost. Anyway, it started making more sense when I found out that Carrie was going to be singing Alone by heart, because that's almost exactly how Ann and Nancy Wilson wore their hair in the 80s. Actually, it's how almost every pop star wore their hair in the 80s. It was a very confusing time period. Anywho, Carrie's version of this song was damn near as good as the original, and it always has been one of my favorite songs. So a few people have done it on the show since, but none of them can hold a candle to Carrie Underwood. I think this song should be retired. There's bad songs on the show that should have been retired and should never be done again, but there's also good ones too, because if you can't top that, this song should be treated like hurricanes. When a hurricane makes a big impact, its name gets retired, and it should be the same way with songs on American Idol. By the way, it was with this performance that Simon Cowell predicted that Carrie would not only win, but go on to outsell every other winner, and he was right. Number 2 is David Archuleta with Angels. Now, I loved this song instantly when David Archuleta sang it in season 7, and I knew I had heard it somewhere before, but I couldn't quite place it, so I looked up the original by Robbie Williams, and I hadn't heard that version before, but I hated it. I thought it was terrible. Turns out it was Jessica Simpson had covered this song, and my sister used to blast up Jessica Simpson CDs all the time while I was trying to sleep. I didn't really like her version either. Actually, I never really cared for Jessica Simpson. My sister used to love her. Back in the day, she used to be considered the high-class alternative to Britney Spears. Well, Britney was more famous, but the general consensus seemed to be that Jessica Simpson was more talented and more intelligent. I know, a lot of you young people are like, but it's the truth. How many of you old-timers out here like me remember the battle of the virgin pop stars right at the turn of the millennium? Anyway, okay, I'm getting off track here. Back to David Archuleta. I love this performance. Not only is it my number 2 on my list of favorite Idol performances, but I'm sure it would rank in my top 20 favorite songs of all time. Not exactly sure where it would rank, but he released this on his first CD, and so I loved it. Maybe one day I'll compile a list of my all-time favorite songs. Anyway, and my number one favorite all-time performance on American Idol was Lakeisha Jones, and I'm telling you, whenever I think about great performances on Idol, this is always the first one that comes to mind. Now, it was in season 6, which a lot of people didn't really like, but it was my favorite season. I don't know why people hated that season. Anyway, it was at the height of the Dreamgirls craze, when everybody thought Jennifer Hudson was just hot stuff. And I thought Lakeisha's performance of this song blew Jennifer Hudson out of the water. Of course, I always have thought Jennifer Hudson was a little bit overrated. I think her voice is a little bit too harsh for me, but anyway, it was Lakeisha's first performance, and Simon told the other 23 contestants to pack their suitcases. Unfortunately for Lakeisha, though, she was never able to have a moment like that again, but this performance was enough to carry her all the way to the top 4, even with some train wrecks in between. I love Lakeisha, though. You know what I really loved about her? She really wanted to win. You don't see that on American Idol that much. I really miss those days, because you don't see it anymore. It's a showcase now. People just want to come out and stay as long as they can and don't really care about winning. And you used to would see people take risks and try to outperform everyone and sometimes buckle under the pressure, but that was what made the show so much more fun. And so, like I said, now it's becoming more of a showcase. And it's like they've sucked the competition out of the competition. And I sure hope they change that next season. So anyway, that was my 10 best. And here in a few minutes, I guess I'll do my 10 worst also. And feel free to leave yours in the comment section. And, it doesn't have to be 10. It can be 5 or 3 or just 1. And I saw one person's list that had like 4 Haley Reinhart performances. I don't believe that. So anyway, I'll see you folks here in a few minutes.